Okay. All right. We are here. I'm here with Gene, and we have another series in our legacy videos that we've been recording. So we've recorded several of them. And here, September 24th of 2022, we're recording one we're going to talk a little bit more about my mom, Robyn, and we'll maybe show a couple videos at the end. We'll see how that works. But we have Gene and Robyn Tsuji's legacy today, and it is Memories with Mom. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. There we go.
Okay.
So, there, I think I've got you up. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah, it's looking good.
Okay. And now you're on my big screen.
Yes. So you should see me and I should see you. All right. So we have some questions. I think one of the first questions that I was thinking of is like, when and where did you and my mother Robyn first meet, and maybe how long you were married?
Oh, sure. And Robyn and I met at work, and I think that I might have started working at the courts maybe a year before Robyn came to the courts. And the only way that I can figure out time-wise on that is that, Shelly, when did you marry Ed? What year?
Oh, at the end of 1979.
Okay, at the end of 79. And so I think that Robyn came in 78. Oh, no, she probably came in 79, because if you said at the end of 79, right?
Yeah. At the end, yeah.
And I came in 78. I think it was around March. And so I think that Robyn must have come in maybe, it could be about a year later, because the big thing that I remember is that, I heard people talking about at noon you would come and visit your mom because you were making wedding plans.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I never saw you coming in, and at that time, I didn't know that much about Robyn. All I knew is that she was working in the for the juvenile department system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Levada is the one that convinced your mom to come to work for the courts.
Oh, okay.
Levada Sprout. But I did hear, people talking back and forth the fact that Robyn's daughter was getting married and she was coming in to talk to her mom about plans and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't all that involved with what was happening. The first time I really got to, I guess, meet and know Robyn was that I was living in Federal Way at the time, commuting to Olympia. And this one time when I was coming to work, I just got off the freeway at the Martin Way exit, and my car stopped.
Oh.
Well, and I didn't know what was wrong. And so what I did is I called the office, and it was a little bit earlier than the normal working hours. So I don't think everybody was there yet, and the reception wasn't there. But for some reason, I think Robyn answered the phone, and I told her about my dilemma, and she said, "Well, do you want me to come pick you up?" And I said, "Sure, if you would," because I was sort of uh, in a fix just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
So she came and picked me up, and I guess it was interesting because that's when she had the car called the Toad,
Oh, yes.
a little green car. I think it was yellowish green car. And the first, I guess, impression that I had um, of your mom, and I don't know if this would be a good impression, but when I got in the car, I had to sort of uh, move around all the McDonald's sacks and
Oh,
all
no.
the other food stuff that was in the passenger side floor
Oh,
seat
no.
area. You know? And so that was my first, I guess, real meeting of your mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my first impression was that I guess keeping a clean car isn't real high on her priority list. You know?
Yeah.
But over the years, as Robyn and I got to know each other, and after we got married, she sort of changed her attitude about having a kind of a clean car, and I guess I have to take some credit as far as leading her that way.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that worked out pretty good. We got to talking a lot more at work just because of that first meeting.
Mm-hmm.
There was another woman who worked in the support staff, Allison Erickson,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew Allison before I knew your mom, and we got along pretty good. Allison was more like a sister to me, I guess, than anything else. Anytime she had any kind of a car problem, then she would either come and ask for advice or ask for help or whatever. And so over time, Alice and I would go out and have a drink after work on a pretty regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And during some of those times after I had met Robyn, Allison had invited Robyn Long to have a drink with us. So the three of us sat and we drank after work and whatnot. And there was a couple of times when, and I'm not exactly sure why, but your mom didn't have a ride home. So it was convenient for me to just give her a ride home and drop her off.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just led from one thing to another. And then we started seeing each other more on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then after a while, I moved from Federal Way down to Olympia, and primarily to be closer to work, and I didn't have to commute so much. And then I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 years after I moved down to Olympia, Robyn and I were, I guess you'd call us an item or something where, you know, we were seeing each other on a regular basis.
A little more
So
serious.
so then I moved in.
Oh, okay.
And I think I moved in the year Steve graduated,
Okay.
probably 3 or 4, maybe 5 months before he graduated
Okay.
from high school.
Yeah, that was in 1982, I think then. And that was also the year Sherelle was born.
Oh, okay. And of course, then Steve was off to college.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it was just your mom and I at the house. And we kept that relationship going for quite a while. And I think that one of the reasons why we didn't, I guess, talk about or consider marriage was that both of us were on the third time around. And I know from my standpoint, my second marriage was a mistake. And I knew that early on for a lot of reasons. And I think that in some ways, I think that your mother's second marriage wasn't exactly what we would consider ideal.
Right.
And
Not
so
at all.
I think that I think we both sort of agreed that we needed to have a little bit of time together to just to make sure that the compatibility was there. As far as the things that we like to do, and in a lot of our, and I think on both of our cases, like the future planning and things like that. And so we sort of decided to just hold off a while. And at some point, I guess we would decide whether or not the compatibility was there, and that it would be a pretty good deal. And we probably felt that that marriage, if we did get married, would last for a while. And so Robyn and I lived together for about 5 years. And then I don't know why, but after about 5 years, and I think we both decided that it was probably time to get married. Things were looking good. You know, the things that we did together there, and we enjoyed it. And all our kids were doing okay. Denise was going to college, Jeanette was going to college, you were going to college, and basically Steve was also. And so the timing was just right. So we suggested to Robyn's good friend Shirley Connor that maybe she and maybe her son Rob would like to come down to Reno with us and I guess witness our wedding. And they both agreed. And so then what we did is we flew down to Reno and we drove to Lake Tahoe. And that's where we got married, was in Lake Tahoe.
Oh, okay.
And I think that must have been then in 87
Mm,
or thereabouts.
okay.
Somewhere there. So anyway,
Yeah.
um, that that pretty much started our formal, I guess you'd call it a formal marriage. I guess before that it was kind of an informal type where if things didn't work out, we could both go our own way, but it didn't work. It worked out okay. So,
Yeah.
you know, we got together. Well, I'm going to digress a little bit because I think one of the questions was, you know, what kind of work did your mom do
Hmm.
when
Yeah.
she came to work at the courts? And she was hired as what they call a systems analyst developer, a systems developer, and it was for the juvenile court system. And she worked there for, I'm not sure exactly how many years, but then she transferred from the juvenile court system area into the district and municipal court section
Hmm.
because they were going through a fairly good sized transition and they uh, needed some help pertaining to the court type information that and help that we were providing the courts. So she went to work for the district municipal courts and actually worked her way up from in that area from being just a systems analyst to being an assistant project manager. And then about the last, I could have been last 2 or 3 years, she was the project manager and she headed up the district municipal court system and did very well. And in fact, one of the years that she was a project manager, she was, let's see, how do you say that? She was, you don't elect someone to this position. She was voted the, I think, employee court or administrator for the courts,
Oh.
employee of the year.
Oh. Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Yeah, and that was a pretty neat deal for her
Mm-hmm.
and for everybody, really.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that your mom did while she was working in the district municipal court section was that she presented to her boss a proposition of possibly working at home 1 day a week. Okay, and that's something that really wasn't done in our agency or in any of the other agencies in the state. And she had to write up a paper for her justification. She had to write up a schedule as far as what she would be doing work-wise at home. And her project manager thought it was worth trying. And so did the director of our agency. So in a lot of cases, you could say that your mom was a, let's see, what do you call that?
Forerunner,
Yeah, well, or frontier.
trailblazer.
Yeah, there's a better word, trailblazer into the working from home type situation. And it worked out, and it worked out well. She had enough dedication and wherewithal to make sure that when she was at home, she was being productive
Mm-hmm.
and putting in her 8+ hours of work. Actually, she probably ended up putting in more than her 8+ hours, but everyone seemed to be pretty pleased with the outcome of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's I think that's worth mentioning because
Mm-hmm.
when you look at workers nowadays,
Okay.
there's an awful lot of people that work from home.
Right. Yeah, that pandemic really, I
Yeah,
mean, it shut down the entire state of Washington. So all the state workers weren't able to come into the offices for at least a year. So yeah,
that's right.
kind
And yet the work got done, the services got provided,
of. Mm-hmm.
and so I think that was a pretty neat deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, after your mother retired, and I think she retired in '96. I think that's when we started to do some more traveling.
Mm-hmm.
We purchased a few timeshares. Actually, we purchased the timeshares before either one of us retired, but we were able to use them more after we retired. And we did a lot of things that were a lot of fun. We would go down to Palm Springs every January, February. Robyn's aunt lived in the Palm Springs area, so we would go down and we would visit with her.
Mm-hmm.
There was a golf tournament, a PGA golf tournament that was being held down in Palm Springs every year, and it was the Bob Hope tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And so for about I think about 11 or 12 years, I volunteered at the tournament, and that was a lot of fun. And after the second year, a friend of mine, Mike and Patty Frost, they both were retired, and so they would come down and stay with us. And Mike would work with me at the Bob Hope tournament, and so we had an awful lot of fun doing that because we were able to meet the pro golfers.
Oh yeah. Fun.
And this tournament happened to be what they called a pro-am tournament. So there were a lot of celebrities that would also golf at that. And I guess the most notable thing that happened, and it happened to your mom, is that she was able to get an autograph from I had his name right on the tip of my tongue, and now Um, I'll probably think about it and
Yeah.
remember about the end of our session here.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember
but
too, but I don't remember who it was.
yeah, yeah, I should have written it down. But it was a lot of fun, and both Patty and Robyn had a lot of fun because they were able to attend the tournament
Mhm.
and see a lot of the celebrities play and the pros play. And usually what happens is that we would spend January in Palm Springs. We'd rent a condo there. And then in February, we would spend at the ocean down by, sometimes we'd go to San Diego, sometimes we'd spend at Ocean City and places like that that were fun places to go see. And the weather was always nice, so that always helped too.
Mhm.
And usually when we went down there, we would drive, so uh, we could get around fairly easy and everything. And then I think that towards the end of our stay at Palm Springs area was around when Steve was working in Boston as a contractor for a company, and actually he was working as a contractor as an independent contractor, and his accountant, I guess you'd call her, told him that he needed to spend some money because he was paying too much in taxes. Well, over the years in our travel, your mom would always tell Steve how much she liked Hawaii. And she would like to live in Hawaii for a little while. So when Steve had to spend some money, he approached us and said, if you could find a house in Hawaii, I'll buy it and you can live in it. And he gave us all the parameters. He said it can't cost this more than this much money.
Yeah.
It had to be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. It had to have a view of the ocean. And so that really inspired us to take a couple of trips to Hawaii. And I think you were on one of the trips. You and Valerie and Ben came once with us once when we went house hunting. And we were looking for houses pretty much at a good time because the market was down. And there was a lot of houses available. So we basically had a lot of fun just looking around at houses and things like that. And the very last house that we looked at before we were going to come back home, we stopped and we looked at it, and your mom says, "That's it." She was a little bit more perceptive than I was. I thought the house was a nice house. It met all the criteria that we were looking at. I still wasn't quite sold on it, until I looked around some more. And of course, I think your mom liking it had some influence on uh, changing my mind as far as thinking that it really wasn't a bad deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was well within Steve's budget. So uh, we went ahead and I think we made an offer on it. Um, I think we talked to Steve, and then he says, "Well, go ahead and make an offer." We made an offer,
Yeah.
and they accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the next, I think almost the next year, 6 months to a year, uh, there was telephone calls, letters, emails,
Uh-huh.
and all that stuff going back and forth. And Boston being 6 hours away, whoever was doing a lot of the negotiating here had to realize that there was a 6 hour difference
Mm-hmm.
on things. But anyway, it all got taken care of. The deal went through, and when that was all said and done, then your mom and I came over here. We flew over, and what did we do? I guess we went garage sale hunting
Mm.
for like furniture.
Mm-hmm.
And this one place, and it was up by Waimea. This family was moving to the mainland, and so they were selling almost everything they had.
Yeah.
But we were able to buy, like I think it was like a queen size bed, some patio furniture, uh, and a couple of kitchen appliances, and I can't remember what else. But anyway, it was a pretty good deal. So we rented a U-Haul and picked it all up, moved it in, and but the place was still pretty stark.
Mm-hmm.
At least we had someplace to sleep, and we could toast bread and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And so then we did some garage sailing a little bit closer in the Kona area, and we found some furniture, I guess you would call it, like a futon,
Mm-hmm.
couch bed type things, and some other things that fit in. And we went to Target and we bought some cabinets and like TV. To put something, workstations, I guess you'd call it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I think that year, I think Steve also came over.
Mm-hmm.
And so then a lot of the stuff that we bought at like Target, you had to assemble. So Steve and I are on the floor assembling all this stuff, and your mom was putting shelf paper in all the cabinets and
Uh-huh.
and getting all the I guess you'd say cookware
Mm-hmm.
put in place. And she would go down to Target, or a lot of times we would find some of this stuff out at the garage sale. So whatever we found, we brought it home, put it in the dishwasher, washed it, and then found places in the cabinet for it. But by the second year, we were pretty much settled in,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out really good because we would come over about September,
Mm-hmm.
and we would stay until March,
Mm-hmm.
maybe April. We'd come over, and then we would spend the summers in Olympia, and then we would spend the winters here,
Mhm.
6 or 7 months here. One of the things that kept us from spending more time here is that we both belong to Kaiser for healthcare, and Kaiser had this ruling that we had to stay in the state of Washington for at least 6 months
Mm.
to get coverage. And so sometimes we would budget by a month, but then we didn't worry about it too much. The other thing that was good is that Hawaii has a Kaiser, and so we were able to use the Kaiser Hawaii if we needed
Mhm.
any kind of health care, and they would provide it. So basically, we had 2 houses, one in Olympia, one in Hawaii, and then we would travel back and forth. And
Mhm.
a lot of times during the winter, we would have Olympia visitors that didn't like the winters
Great.
there. You know, they spent a couple of weeks, which was fun because we enjoyed that.
Mhm.
And then I think it was the first year. At the end of the first year is when I shipped one of the cars over. No,
Oh.
I shipped the truck over is what I did,
Mhm.
because I thought the truck would be helpful if we needed to
Mhm.
buy extra furniture or stuff like that. And then the following year, I shipped the yellow car over. So
Mhm.
then we had 2 cars here, and then we had, I guess we had 2 cars. Yes, we had 2 cars in Olympia
Mhm.
because we had the red Escape,
Yeah.
and then I think it was a couple years later that I had bought the red truck.
Mhm.
But things went along pretty well for probably about the first 5 or 6 years. Um, Steve has had this house for about, I think, close to 10 years now.
Mhm.
And for the first 4 to 5 years, we had our routine that we would do, and everything was just fine. And then about, I think it must have been about 6 years into our stay here, and it might have been like about 4 years ago. Your mother was starting to uh, have problems remembering things, and she recognized that before I did.
Mm.
She says, I have a hard time remembering just, I guess, just names and different things that she normally did because she did the finances. And so when we were in Olympia, we went to see a neurologist at Kaiser, and the neurologist diagnosed your mom with the onset of dementia.
Mm.
And he said it's real early in this dementia form. And he gave her a lot of puzzles and games to play
Mhm.
um, to help stimulate
Mhm.
her brain. And they helped for quite a while. She enjoyed doing them, but a little at a time, you could tell that she's still forgetting little things, and so it didn't become what I would say really noticeable until about 2.5, maybe 3 years after she was first diagnosed. And it started around, oh, the notes I have around the summer of 2021, where her not only forgetfulness started to increase, but she started having a little bit more as far as mood swings.
Okay.
She started to get a little bit more, I guess you'd call it aggressive. And this would be, it was getting to the point where if she went outside, sometimes she would wander. And so I had to keep a closer eye on her. The other part was that there was a couple of times when, she used to walk a lot, and there's a couple of times when she was walking that I don't know if it was dementia or the Alzheimer or what it was, but her footing became less stable, and she fell, and she bruised herself fairly. I don't want to say real bad, but bad enough to where she got bruised up quite a bit. And it wasn't bad enough to where she had to go to emergency, but it got bad enough to where she had to be really careful when she went on her walks and things like that. And eventually what I ended up doing is I bought her a couple of walking sticks, and that had helped quite a bit.
Yeah, that's good.
And as time went by, her mood started to getting more aggressive, and she would get more physically aggressive. And there was I guess one of the times when she got overly aggressive, then we took her to emergency. And they ran a whole bunch of tests and everything. And they found that she had UTI. And they thought that that could have been part of the aggressiveness. So they gave her some medication for that, and I don't know if it took care of the UTI, and it might have decreased the aggressiveness, but she still was pretty much moody, quite a bit moody. And so we came home right around Thanksgiving, I think it was, of 2021. Because up until then, she wanted to see her mother. She wanted to go home and see her mother. Well, And I kept trying to convince her that her mother had passed away, at least 10 years prior to that. But that only made her more upset. So I decided, okay, well, maybe if we go back to Olympia for a short period of time, we could somehow show her that her mother was really not around. She couldn't. But well, I think our stay in Olympia over the Thanksgiving holidays, it actually didn't improve a whole lot. And there was something that happened that was kind of unusual for me anyway, and it was diagnosed as she had sundowner syndrome.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which is, I guess, another level or another effect of dementia or Alzheimer's. And so what I did at that time is I decided that I would come back to Olympia. I mean, I'd come back to Hawaii. And I guess see how things went without me being right next to her all the time. Because one of the things that I had learned from talking to other people and reading some other things is that sometimes people with dementia, if there's only one caregiver, the dementia person would then take out any aggressions on that one caregiver. Okay, and so one of the reasons why I came back to Hawaii by myself was that, okay, her primary caregiver now was gone, and I guess I was looking for what kind of a reaction she would have towards me not being a primary caregiver there, and there'd be more than one. And from what I understand, the aggressiveness and things, maybe they weren't quite as severe, but they weren't that much better.
Right.
And so what we did is we brought her back to Hawaii. And tried to figure out what would be the best approach to take next. Well, when we brought her back to Hawaii, she had a couple of outbursts, and we ended up having to take her to emergency again. And this next time, a PA at emergency prescribed a medication that was supposed to, I guess, ease some of the aggressiveness that she had developed and whatnot. And it worked well. When she came home and we administered the medication, her mood were a lot better, more controlled.
Oh yeah, good.
And her aggressiveness was more controlled. And then when she ran out of this medication, I tried to get the same medication at Kaiser here because we were now members of Kaiser Hawaii. Well, the doctor here, for some reason, didn't recommend that particular medication. They had an alternative medication that was supposed to do pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we gave Robyn that medication, and I guess about the first 2 or 3 days, we found that medication didn't work. Robyn's aggressiveness and moodiness went back to her old self. So we talked to the doctor here, and the doctor said that with this particular medication that she's taking, what they do is they start her out at a level,
Mm-hmm.
and then if it doesn't quite work, then they up the level of medication until they find, somewhere that was going to be workable. And so I think it took about 2 weeks before we finally found a level that was equal to her first medication that she had, or at least close to it,
Mm-hmm.
to where she was more tolerable and everything. So anyway, after that, I think we decided we would be either you and Steve and I or something, decided that we probably needed to look for a dementia facility here in Hawaii
Mm-hmm.
that maybe would be a better situation for her.
Right. Yeah.
And so, and I had heard about this place called Regency
Mm-hmm.
in Kona. In fact, it's one of, I don't think it's the only one, but I don't think there's very many that are as good. So we applied for acceptance at Regency and fill out all the paperwork and everything, and then we had a in-person interview with I guess some of the key staff at Regency.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were turned down. And I think one of the reasons was that I think if we would have waited a little bit longer so that the medication that she was taking would have kept her at a very calmer situation and everything, she might have been accepted. I don't know this, but they turned us down because they said that what they have to do is consider not only the residents at the facility but the staff, and that Robyn wouldn't fit in, basically. So we were turned down, and that's when I guess we decided that maybe a dementia unit in Olympia might be the next best option. And I had heard of Garden Court. I know of a couple of people that had friends or family in Garden Court. I also talked to Mike and Patty Frost, who's Mike's dad was at Garden Court, or is at Garden Court. And so we put in our application for Garden Court, and we got accepted. There was no interview, no nothing, which was, well, I guess to me kind of unusual, but then I guess the information that we provided and the references were okay. So in February, you came out to Hawaii and took Robyn back to Olympia
Mm-hmm.
and enrolled her at Garden Court. And for the first week, she was not allowed to have any visitors.
Right.
It was sort of like it's a get used to the facilities and
Yeah. Kind of
and
get settled in a little bit.
right. And so Robyn was there for a week. And I want to back up a little bit because I want to give some credit to a couple of friends, and that is that um, when Robyn was accepted at Garden Court, the rooms at Garden Court all came unfurnished.
Mm-hmm.
And so consequently, we had to find a bed, mattress, bedding, a dresser, and I guess anything else that we wanted to furnish the room with. And so I called Mike and Patty Frost and asked if they could see if they could find a bed and all the bedding stuff for it, and a dresser, and all that. And they were happy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike and I think Justin, Mike's son, and Mike's brother loaded all that up and delivered it to Garden Court.
Yeah.
So that, and I think they actually came out to the house.
Yeah.
And picked up a chair and I don't know, maybe a couple of other things.
Couple tables. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then they delivered that to Garden Court so that when Robyn was admitted to Garden Court, she had a place that was somewhat furnished. It was still pretty sparse. But the room that she had was, to me, really a good sized room. And the furniture that we put in there didn't have any problems fitting in there. It's just the room looked kind of sparse.
Right.
But that was okay because she had all the things that she needed. She needed the dresser, she needed the bed. So so she had a place to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty special friends. I really appreciate Patty and Mike Frost for doing all that while we both were over in Hawaii trying to get my mom ready.
That's right.
Who packed and then repacked and then repacked her bag. Remember? She'd take everything out and an hour later she'd pack it all up again. And like, well, she's keeping busy.
But that's right. So as long as she was keeping busy, then I guess she was staying out of trouble.
Yes.
Out of our trouble anyway.
Right.
So then when I came to Olympia, and I think that was in the latter part of February, after Robyn had been there for a week or so, I realized that there needed to be a little bit more in that room. And so I was able to find some chairs, another end table, I think it was. And I think we had plenty of lamps.
Yes.
We just find another lamp maybe downstairs, and then we found pictures. And so then it made the room a little bit more friendly, I guess, or homey, or whatever you call it. So anyway, as it turned out, I think that the things that are in the room now are adequate, and she seems to be doing fine. So, and the staff there at Garden Court are very good and very good. And so we're lucky that way.
Yes. Yes. I have a question, just to back up just a little bit. The medication that she's on right now for that, for the dementia and the mood swings, is that called Seroquel?
I think it is. I'm not exactly sure.
Something like
But
that.
that sounds familiar because I know it's not the first medication that she was taking, because that had a really funny name to it. And the reason that the doctor here changed the medication is that she thought that the medication that the emergency person here gave her had too many side effects. And when I really looked at the two side effects, I didn't see a whole lot of difference, but apparently, the doctor here thought it was. So it all worked out fine.
Yeah.
But it has been, do you call it an adventure? You can always call it an adventure after the fact. Oh.
Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So I have her little medication list up here, and Seroquel is what it's commonly known as, but I think that she has the generic name of quetiapine.
Quetiapine, yeah.
Okay, yeah. 25 milligram tablet. See, she takes 3 of them every morning, so 75 milligrams in the morning and 1 tablet at night. So yeah, so that is what she's taking.
Yeah. And see, we had to build up from that 1 at night and 1 in the morning to the 3 in the morning and 1 at night.
Well, yeah.
And that took about a 3-week period to get to that part. But, and it seems to be working okay right now. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah. And then it looks like she has 2 other medications that she's taking. Trazodone, 50 milligram tablet at night. Is that the one for her thyroid?
I think it is.
Okay. And then the other one is mirtazapine.
Yeah, and I think that's for depression.
Okay. Remeron maybe is commonly known as. So yeah, so that one, she just takes 115 milligram at night. Maybe that's the one that helps her sleep a little bit.
So it could be because she was taking this other one that was over the counter.
Oh, melatonin.
Yeah, melatonin. But then she really hasn't had the one for is that 15 milligrams?
Yes.
And what's the other one?
The other one is 50, 50.
Okay, and I'll bet
Oh
you
yeah,
that,
it's to treat depression.
yeah, okay,
So you were right. It's to treat depression. It's kind of an antidepressant.
yeah. Yeah, because I
And
know that she had a thyroid, a depression, antidepressant, and I wasn't aware of the sleep one, but then it's very possible that she might have had
yeah,
trouble sleeping, and so that would be good.
that could be because they're both taken at night. They have to be both
Okay,
be taken at bedtime. So maybe one of them helps her sleep a little better.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, and then, let's see, there was one other question, I think.
Um, let's see. Oh yeah, this one might be a little morbid, but
Oh, yeah,
I
that's okay.
wanted to know like what mom's wishes were after she passes, is
Right.
her mom, I think, was cremated, and does she want a burial? Does she want cremation, a funeral, a memorial? Does she want ashes put in a very specific place or way of doing something like that? Since she can't tell me any of that, I wondered if she had mentioned that to you or you had talked about that at some point.
I think, we had talked about that. And I know that for sure Robyn wanted to be cremated.
Okay.
She didn't want a service, either a regular funeral service or memorial. Um, and I think that I think she wanted to have her ashes scattered on the lake.
Okay.
Now, I was thinking about that,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if there's any problems on having ashes scattered on the lake.
Mm.
I don't think if you don't say anything, nobody will ever know, and it wouldn't make any difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think that um, right now, I think the best process to take is that she's cremated, and then we take the ashes and we scatter it on the lake. Now, I'd like to, I guess, add something to that.
Mm-hmm.
And um, this would be my wishes also.
Okay.
Okay. I'd like the same thing that Robyn has. Cremation, no service, no memorial. And I'm going to have to assume that, and this may be a bad assumption, but this is just the way I'm going to assume it, is that Robyn is going to go before me. And so what I'd like to do is I would like you to hold Robyn's ashes.
Okay.
Okay. when I go and I'm cremated, I would like both of our ashes to go over the lake.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That really is beautiful. We would absolutely do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, do it together. For sure.
Because I don't know, I keep thinking of where would I want my ashes to be scattered?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I really couldn't think of anything better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And um, and I guess to me, it doesn't make any difference um, who's there.
Okay.
Okay. But I'm going to have to make some assumptions. And that is that, um, and if this can be scheduled,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you've got other people, it's hard to schedule time. But basically, just my two daughters
Okay.
and you and Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't care who else uh, is there. I don't care how it's done or anything like that.
Okay.
I'll leave that up to, I guess, leave it up to you. But just trying to coordinate all of this stuff.
Oh, sure.
And if it, if it can't be done, then it can't be done. And you'll have to scatter Robyn's, and then you'll have to scatter mine, or whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We will. I'm a
But
pretty good organizer.
oh yeah, I know that. The other thing that I'm not exactly sure what to do. I've got 3 urns in the closet.
Oh.
Your grandmother's, your grandfather's, and my dad's.
Okay.
Okay. I have an idea of what to do with my dad's, but because my stepmother is still alive,
Mm-hmm.
I have decided to wait until my stepmother passes and then make some kind of a decision on one or the other, because Neo's 2 daughters I'd have to coordinate with.
Oh, right.
And things like that. So that's why my dad's is still there.
Okay.
Your grandmother and your grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
they're there because, number one, they didn't make a wish as far as what to do with their ashes.
Mm-hmm.
Robyn's brother is no help in trying to decide. At one of the times, she suggested that, well, I'll put their ashes in a small separate urn and I'll give them to you, her brother.
Mhm.
Well, his reply is, I don't want them. And he doesn't care what happens to him.
Okay.
So, um, I don't know, somewhere along the way, I guess I would like to do something with them so that so they're not just sitting in the house,
Okay.
basically. And I don't know, your grandmother didn't have any favorite places that she liked. Your grandfather was somewhat the same. And so I know that they like, or at one point they liked going out on the boat.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know. It could be that what I just need to do is just dump them in Puget Sound someplace in the Olympia area. Well, I've got a friend that's got a boat, and just take the 2 urns and just let them go. And not worry about it, because I don't want them to be sitting around. So that may be something else that we might need to think about.
Okay.
Come up there in December. So
Yeah, we can talk about that, especially if Steve is going to be here. We can find some, we can figure that out.
More family stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I don't have anything else. I think the last thing I had on my little cheat sheet was probably the hardest thing. But other than that, you know, everything else is fine.
Yeah.
And it's good to know that somebody else knows what the wish is.
Yeah. Right. I think so too.
Yeah.
I have a couple of short little videos. Let me just share my screen, and I'm gonna wait, where'd it go? Hang on a second. Maybe I'm gonna share my screen. Doesn't seem to want to stay there. Let me try. No. Oops. Okay, let's see if this will actually work. No. Okay, I'll have to figure out a different way to do that, because it's not coming up to share it. But I'll figure out a way to. I have about a 45-second little video walking up garden court, you know, to see the flowers on both sides. And then I have another little video that has, you know, kind of a little tour of the garden area when we were out in the garden area.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So yeah.
That sounds interesting.
Yep. So I'll figure out a way to, you know, get that on there and things like that. But
okay.
yeah.
And I was looking at the last I think there was one more
Mm-hmm.
session.
Yeah.
And I think there's some duplications in there or things that we'd already covered.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'm not sure if I need to cover it again unless I need to, put more detail to it.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and write up a script and let's see.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording. So
Okay, that's
I
fine.
do want to just thank you again, just for your honesty and all of that, all of those things that were, that you're just letting us know about. I think that it's really important, and and I'm really enjoying these.
Good.
So I just want